Most people think a glow up is about changing your hair, buying new clothes, or posting before and after photos on social media. But that kind of transformation is surface level, and it fades fast. A real glow up happens quietly, from the inside out. It's about becoming the version of yourself that you've always wanted to be, without needing validation from anyone else. So in the next 8 minutes, I'm going to share 4 powerful steps that will help you glow up in a way that's authentic, lasting, and completely life-changing. Let's get into it. Step 1. Stop performing your life. Here's something most people won't tell you. The reason you feel stuck isn't because you're not doing enough. It's because you're too busy performing instead of actually living. You post gym selfies before the habit even sticks. You tell everyone about your new goals before you've made any real progress. You announce your glow up before it's even started. And here's the problem with that. When you broadcast your transformation, you train your brain to seek validation instead of results. Every like, every comment, every "you're doing amazing" gives you a little hit of dopamine. It feels good in the moment, but it tricks your mind into thinking you've already accomplished something when you haven't. That's why so many people announce big changes and then quietly give up weeks later. Psychologists actually have a name for this. It's called social reality. When you tell people about your goals, your brain experiences something called premature completion. Basically, talking about what you're going to do gives you the same satisfaction as actually doing it. A study from NYU found that when people announced their goals publicly, they were actually less likely to achieve them because the act of sharing created a false sense of accomplishment. Your brain got its reward without putting in the work. So if you want a real glow up, you need to stop performing and start moving in silence. Delete the progress posts. Stop telling your friends about every new routine. Keep your plans private and let your results speak for themselves. This isn't about being secretive or mysterious. It's about protecting your energy and staying focused on what actually matters, which is the work itself. When you stop seeking external validation, something powerful happens. You start building internal discipline. You do things because they align with who you want to become, not because someone is watching. And when you finally do show up different, stronger, glowing, people won't just notice. They'll be shocked. Because real transformation doesn't need an announcement. It just happens, and everyone feels it. Think about it like this. The most powerful transformations in movies and shows are the ones that happen off-screen. The character disappears for a while, and when they come back, everything has changed. They're stronger, smarter, more confident. Nobody saw the training montage. Nobody watched them struggle. They just see the result. That's the energy you want to embody. Disappear into your own world, do the work, and let people wonder what happened when you resurface completely different. Step 2. Become obsessed with your own standards. Let's be honest, most of us spend way too much energy trying to meet other people's standards. We dress a certain way to fit in. We act a certain way to be liked. We dim our ambitions because we don't want to seem too much. But here's the truth. The people who truly glow up are the ones who stop caring about fitting in and start building their own standards. So ask yourself, what kind of woman do I actually want to be? Not what your friends expect, not what social media tells you. What do you want? Maybe you want to be the girl who reads every night instead of scrolling. Maybe you want to be disciplined, elegant, or unapologetically ambitious. Whatever it is, get clear on it. Write it down. Visualize it. Make it real in your mind. Now here's the key. Once you know your standards, you have to protect them like your life depends on it. That means saying no to things that don't align with your vision, even if it's uncomfortable. It means cutting off habits, people, and environments that pull you back into your old self. And yes, it means being okay with outgrowing friendships, routines, and versions of yourself that no longer serve you. I know that sounds harsh, but growth isn't comfortable. If you want to transform, you can't keep one foot in your old life while trying to step into a new one. You have to fully commit. Let me give you a real example of what this looks like. Think about someone like Zendaya. Early in her career, she was known as a Disney Channel star. That's how people saw her. But she didn't let that label define her forever. She quietly transformed herself into a serious actress, a fashion icon, and someone who's respected across multiple industries. She didn't do it by asking for permission or waiting for people to take her seriously. She just started showing up differently. She took on challenging roles, elevated her style, and carried herself with a level of confidence and professionalism that demanded respect. She set her own standard and refused to shrink back into what people expected her to be. The moment you start living by your own standards instead of everyone else's, everything shifts. You stop feeling like you're chasing someone else's life and start building your own. And that confidence, that clarity, that's what makes a real glow-up magnetic. People can feel when you know exactly who you are and where you're going. It's powerful, it's attractive, and it changes everything. Step 3. Master the art of consistency. Here's where most glow-ups fail. People get excited, they set big goals, they start strong, and then life gets hard and they quit. Maybe they skip one workout and then skip the whole week. Maybe they eat clean for 3 days and then binge on the 4th. The problem isn't that they don't want to change. It's that they don't understand how transformation actually works. Real change doesn't come from motivation. It comes from consistency. And consistency isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it. Let me give you an example. Let's say you want to start working out. Most people go all in on day 1. They do an intense 2-hour workout, feel amazing, post about it, and then wake up the next day so sore they can barely move. By day 3, they've already talked themselves out of it. But here's what actually works. Start so small that it feels almost too easy. Instead of committing to an hour at the gym, commit to 10 minutes. Instead of overhauling your entire diet, just drink more water. The goal isn't to do the most. The goal is to build the habit. Because once the habit is there, you can scale it up. But if you burn out in week 1, you'll never get there. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, talks about this concept called the 2-minute rule. The idea is that any new habit should take less than 2 minutes to do in the beginning. Want to start reading more? Don't commit to reading a whole book. Just read 1 page. Want to start journaling? Just write 1 sentence. It sounds almost too simple, but that's the point. You're not trying to transform overnight. You're trying to build momentum. And momentum starts with the tiniest action repeated over and over until it becomes automatic. Consistency is also about mindset. You need to stop seeing setbacks as failures and start seeing them as part of the process. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to have bad days. You're going to slip up. And that's okay. What matters is that you don't let one bad day turn into a bad week, or a bad month, or giving up entirely. Just get back on track. No drama, no guilt, no shame. Just keep going. The girls who glow up aren't the ones who never mess up. They're the ones who refuse to quit. Here's a mindset shift that helped me. Stop thinking in terms of all or nothing. You don't have to be perfect to make progress. You just have to be consistent. If you work out 4 days this week instead of 7, that's still progress. If you ate healthy most of the day but had dessert at night, that's still better than eating junk all day. Stop punishing yourself for not being perfect and start celebrating the fact that you're trying. Because showing up imperfectly is infinitely better than not showing up at all. So show up for yourself, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Because that's when the real transformation happens. Step 4. Detach from the outcome. This might sound counterintuitive, but if you want to glow up, you need to stop obsessing over the result. I know that sounds weird, but hear me out. When you're constantly checking the mirror, stepping on the scale, comparing yourself to where you think you should be, you're living in a state of anxiety. You're so focused on the destination that you forget to enjoy the journey. And that energy, that desperation, it actually slows you down. Here's what I mean. Let's say you're working on your fitness. If you wake up every day stressed about whether you've lost weight yet, you're going to burn out. But if you wake up and think, I'm just going to move my body today because it makes me feel good, suddenly the pressure is gone. You're no longer chasing an outcome. You're just living the process. The same applies to everything: your skin, your style, your confidence, your career. The moment you detach from needing immediate results and start trusting the process, everything becomes easier. You stop feeling like you're failing when progress is slow. You stop comparing yourself to other people's timelines. You just focus on being a little better than you were yesterday. And here's the beautiful part. When you stop chasing the glow up, that's when it actually happens. Because you're no longer performing or forcing it. You're just becoming. And people feel that. They see the confidence, the calmness, the quiet power. They don't know what changed, but they know something did. And that's the kind of glow up that lasts. There's actually a psychological principle behind this. It's called the paradox of intention. The harder you try to force something, the more it resists you. But the moment you let go of the desperate need for it and just focus on the process, it starts flowing naturally. You've probably experienced this before. Maybe you were trying so hard to impress someone and it felt awkward and forced. But then one day you stopped caring, and suddenly everything clicked. That's because you weren't in your head anymore. You were just being yourself. The same thing happens with your glow up. The less you obsess over it, the more naturally it unfolds. So to recap, stop performing your life and move in silence. Build your own standards and protect them fiercely. Master consistency, not perfection. And detach from the outcome so you can actually enjoy the process. A real glow-up isn't loud. It's not about impressing anyone. It's about becoming the version of yourself that you've always known you could be. And when you do that, everything changes. You walk into rooms differently. You speak with more confidence. You make decisions that actually align with who you are. And people notice, not because you told them to, but because transformation like that is impossible to ignore.